Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, hello, welcome. I'm Scotty for Prez. I am extremely excited for Modern Warfare 3, as I'm sure a lot of you are as well. And so today what we're going to do, before we start to play the beta and see what these maps are going to look like, reimagined and a new, modern day Call of Duty, we're going to go ahead and break down those 16 maps into a tier list. So as you can see, we have the S tier, Supreme King. These are, top dogs in the bracket. We have A, which is obviously a great map. B, that's a good map. C, it's a good map, but you're not trying to play it. And D is straight ass cheeks. So we're gonna go ahead and get right into it. I'll just give you a short little brief description on why I think it should be placed in this tier, and let me know below if I got it right, if I got it wrong. To start off, we have Afghan. This is one of the benchmarks in the trick shotting community. All the trick shotters were, jumping off the ledge, the search and destroy games, whenever you went down to the back side of the map with the stairs on the cliff, it was just intense. And one of the best things about Afghan was, even though, yeah, that cliff, that overhanging cliff was a very clear power spot, it also had a lot of cons to it because you had people looking at you from every direction. So it wasn't like if you were up there, you were gonna be melting people left and right. It was like, you had to get up there, take your shot, get a kill or two, and then you had to get down because the whole map's gonna be looking at you. Even though it was a big map, it didn't feel like you were always looking for someone. The action was moving. It was a good map. I think we're gonna leave it in B. We're gonna leave it in B. Next we have Derail. So honestly, I don't have a lot of good to say about Derail. It was a nice looking map. It was one of the few snow maps, but it really was spread out. The buildings that you could actually get into and fight in, as well as the trains, and then I don't know, it was just too spread out, didn't really flow. We're gonna go ahead and throw that in the C tier. Now Estate, and I'm sure that this is kind of what they were imagining whenever they created help me out, that new map we got in MW3 this year. Dang, I can't remember. Anyway, Estate was awesome because, especially in Search and Destroy, those fights inside of the house were intense. You know what I mean? You felt like you were in a scary movie, like Michael Myers was in there with you. It's like the whole match you were fighting over the house, who was going to be in the house and who was going to be looking down the hill. And honestly, if you were at the bottom of that hill when someone got an AC-130, chopper gun or whatever, you were slayed, man. I mean, you were just stuck down there. It was obviously heavily favored on one side, so I'm not gonna say it's the best map, but it was definitely a good map, and we're gonna go ahead and slide it in at B. Next we have Favela, which I'm extremely excited to see in Modern Warfare 3 because I think it's gonna fit well, because it already had, all those rooms and all those houses and all those all those doorways, so you already know it's gonna be door galore, bars. But what's really cool about Favela is you can kind of play it multiple ways. You could get up close and personal, you can navigate through the small little buildings, or you could, play back on top of the roofs, the multiple roofs, and you can AR, you can snipe or whatever. It seems like it would be cluttered, and I think that some people could probably see it as too much in one little area, but I think it's gonna fit really well in Modern Warfare 3, and in Modern Warfare 2, it was awesome. We're gonna throw it in at the A. Now next we have Karachi. We might as well call it Kabooty, because this map was ass. I don't know, there was one side, I can't remember what side it was. If you played it, maybe you can help me out, but there's one side, if you spawned on that side, you were spawning in to a spawn trap. There was nothing you could do. You were just stuck that whole game, and you had to have a really good push to try and get through and break it. I mean, there was a lot of potential for it because traversing through the buildings and getting on top of the roof, and then the bridge right there, it had a lot of interesting parts, but it just didn't all connect well. It was like trying to make a puzzle out of the wrong pieces. So Karachi, we're gonna go ahead and throw in at D. It's gonna be the first one we have at D. So High Rise, you guys should already know where I'm about to throw this. This is also one of the trick shotting classics, potentially the trick shotting classic. The glitches you could get onto, it wasn't really a glitch, but you could get on like the window ladder thing. You could climb up and jump onto there a special way and snipe from there. The fact that you could go underneath the ground, go underground and get to each side of the high rises, it was just fun. It was fast paced, it was immersive, it just flowed extremely well. High Rise is just a classic map, and I know we got to see it this year in the Battle Royale and in, Warzone 2, but I'm excited to see it in just full-fledged multiplayer redone. And they also added some more verticality that you can see from the intel drops here on the screen. So we're gonna go ahead and throw High Rise, bow, at the S. That shouldn't have been a surprise to anyone. I know a lot of people actually disliked Invasion. Invasion wasn't bad, depending on the match. The actual center of the map had a lot of potential. Those few little buildings there with the tank. But I mean, outside of that, it just wasn't. The other two lanes were just sniper spots. You couldn't really navigate up or down the right side because someone was always waiting for you. So a lot of times those games, any game really played on Invasion, just felt slow. It stopped up and you couldn't really play like you wanted to play. So for Invasion, we're gonna go ahead and throw it at the C, because it wasn't one that, you know, you wouldn't be excited to play on it, but I mean, you probably wouldn't back out. You're probably skipping it though. If it's up against any of these, you're skipping it. All right, so next we have Rundown, and you know, this one's actually difficult for me because I really did enjoy Rundown. Honestly though, off the top of my head, I just really can't remember too much in detail about it. I remember you had like those bridges you had to cross over the middle, but I really just can't remember too much about the map, you know, beyond the fact that I enjoyed it. We're just gonna go ahead and slide Rundown in at B because I know I liked it. I know it's a popular map. I can't remember what it was I liked about it. Now Quarry, some days I loved this map and then other days I hated this map. It was, and it still is, extremely bland in the color palette. You know, it's just all white and tan, but beyond that, beyond the color scheme, it was extremely fun because you could play long range if you wanted to. You could get on top of the little ramp in the corner and you could shoot down. If you wanted, you could also push throughout the what are those, like salt rocks or something, like the little rocks. You could actually push down, maneuver around, and then get into the big warehouse. That way, it was a lot of fun because you could really play the map how you wanted to, but also you could play it depending on how the other team was playing. So if they were playing at long range and they were, you know, if they were sniping you, you couldn't really, you know, combat that. You could always just push through, be a little sneaky boy, slide up there and you know, get them off the that corner. That was kind of like the power spot, was like that corner on top of the ramp and the end of the street. That was kind of like the spot I feel like most of the action was going down in. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna slide Quarry into, I'm gonna slide into A, man. I'm gonna slide Quarry into A. Next we got Rust. You know, I feel like, you know, trick shots, 1v1s, small map, hectic, crazy, underneath the tower and those little vents, insane. I mean, where else could you put it? You know, I will admit that Rust is not my favorite, but I feel like you can't put Rust, you can't say Rust isn't a good map. Was it the traditional 3-lane? No, but at the end of the day, the amount of fun it is, and it's not like shipment crazy, but it's still crazy. It's contained, and you could also have a little bit of strategy with it too. You know, you're not getting spawned right behind. So Rust is definitely set in at A. Scrapyard, whoo-wee, baby. Now, Scrapyard we've actually seen before outside of Modern Warfare 2, and it's just a great map. There's so much action that goes on within the planes, you know, trying to fight over that warehouse on the left side or on that far side, you know, depicted in the picture, but that warehouse, you know, trying to fight over that. And then what was perfect about that is if you got in that warehouse, you could actually see both sides of the map without revealing yourself too much, and you could see multiple pieces of the plane wreckage. So it allowed you to watch both sides as well as the middle, and then typically, you know, someone would be watching underneath the like the crane looking thing, and you wouldn't really get snuck up on. It was just an awesome map. You had the smoke on the right side that you kind of, you know, navigate through. You could push through the middle, right through the middle if you wanted to, because it was hard just to snipe at a long distance because of all the obstructions. Scrapyard is an all-time GOAT. I think it doesn't make sense to put anywhere else. So now we have Skid Row. I will say that like initially I did not like Skid Row because you know, the models and whatever the akimbo double barrels were. Man, I'm just blanking left and right. But Skid Row was fun. You had the long hallway, you had the snipers, you had the shotguns. This was one of those maps where even if you got spawn trapped, you really could find your way out of it, because there were so many ways you could navigate around that apartment complex and around, you know, through that Skid Row. So we're gonna go ahead and throw Skid Row into Alpha. All right, next we have Subbase. I'm throwing this in D. I don't even remember ever playing on this map and being like, holy shit, I love this map and I love this game. This map was just, it didn't flow at all. There was nothing like, there was no spot on that map that was like, okay, this is where all the action is. Estate, you obviously have the house. Rundown, you have that middle area and a little bit more on the right side. Like, there was no place like that on Subbase, and it just made the games feel so dull. Like, it just felt, they were just so whack, man. So Subbase is going in D. I don't know who could even argue with that. Now we have Terminal. Come on now, you know where Terminal's going, but I'll go ahead and I'll talk about it just for a little bit. You have long range fights, you have medium gun fights, and you have close range. The fights within the planes, those hallway sniper fights, they can be annoying, but whenever you're winning those fights, you know, and then you obviously have like the food court area, which is really cool for more medium range and just kind of hurry up and cutting through to get to the people, you know, camping in the back there of the long hallways. It's just a ton of fun. It's been in literally, it seems like every single Call of Duty since it's been released, and it's going in S tier. Underpass, I loved Underpass, and I have a feeling that Underpass is going to be one of the more welcomed maps in Modern Warfare 3. The setting of it was great, and I really hope that they keep it like that. I hope that they keep it dark and they keep it rainy, because that was part of what made it so fun. Like, search and destroy on Underpass was so intense, you know what I mean? You're hearing the rain, you can't really see everything because there's so many bushes and dark corners. And it was a very unique map because of the setting, because it was raining, and because of how dark it was. So it was just a really fun map. I loved Underpass. I'm not gonna put it in the S tier because I'm not gonna overvalue it like that, but I am putting it in the A tier because if this would come up, you were playing it. And then finally, last but not least, you know, everyone has their place in this world. And the last one here on this list is Wasteland. Wasteland, controversial, thermal heaven, kill streak heaven if you manage to get a AC-130 or a chopper gunner. Literally the only place you could not get to if you were in a chopper gunner or an AC-130 was that middle section under the ground. Most of the time you could still fire into there. You could still get plenty of kills if they were trying to hide out in there. Obviously, Wasteland is exactly what the title is like. It's a wasteland. There's you know, not a lot of cover, and it's just kind of like a free-for-all. You know, you just have to kind of adjust on the go. No other map in this selection is like this. This is kind of like Rust in the sense of like it did something different in this game. It did something against the, you know, 3-lane map. It was an interesting map. We're gonna throw it in B. So as you can see how I listed them, you know, we have 3 in S, we have some in A, B, and then, you know, only a few in C and D. Honestly, the maps in Modern Warfare 2, most of them were larger maps. There was a lot of areas that weren't really used in multiplayer, but they never really felt like that. You know, how the spawns were structured and how people played the game, they never played like those spaces were useless. And honestly, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how these maps play out in Modern Warfare 3, but we'll just have to see here in the next few months. So again, let me know what you guys would change, what you're thinking about this list, and also let me know what your favorite map on this list is. Because, you know, I'm sure for a lot of people it might be Scrapyard or Terminal. Like, for me personally, my favorite on this list is actually Underpass. Yeah, these maps are so iconic, man. So let me know your favorite map. Let me know if you think I got this tier list right, if I got it wrong. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see you later. Deuces.